The morning cuts sharper than a knife. Frost glints on the weathered boards of the old Montana ranch, each plank whispering years of wind and sun and snow. The prairie stretches empty beyond the fence, a white ocean whipped by a wind that bites straight through coats and skin. Smoke curls from a dying fire, carrying the faint tang of burning wood and hard labor. She kneels beside the stock tanks, mud streaked across her face, tears frozen in streaks that glitter like cracked glass. She whispers, trembling, "I'm nothing but dirt." Her voice is almost swallowed by the wind, but the raw edge of it clings to the air. He stands above her, a rugged rancher, hands shaking as he pours water from a bucket. The liquid freezes mid-fall, a silver arc suspended against the biting sky. He doesn't speak at first, just watches the fragile miracle of frozen motion, guilt shadowing his face. Don't waste it," she says, voice cracking. Not just water, but hope itself. The cattle stir in the distance, lowing softly like mournful echoes. The wooden boards groan, the wind whistles. It feels like nature itself is leaning close, bearing witness. Her pain is raw, and his guilt heavier than the frosted air. Every choice here carries weight, survival or morality, cruelty or love. Could forgiveness survive in a place where the earth itself is unyielding? Could love grow where scars have been carved deep? These aren't questions for storybooks. They're a knife in the chest. And the answer is never easy. The frost bites harder. She rises slowly, eyes locked on his, each unwilling to show the full fracture of their souls. A single step could break trust, or maybe begin repair. What would you do if every move felt like a betrayal, like every heartbeat held the weight of wrongs too heavy to lift? If this twists your gut, hit subscribe, because out here, mercy is rare, and the next choice could shatter them both. The sun draped the Montana plains in molten gold, dust swirling like ghosts across the old ranch. Hooves clattered, echoing against dry earth, a rhythm both alive and merciless. She was younger then, braver, or maybe just unbroken. Her brother laughed, voice cutting through the heat, chasing runaway cattle across the endless fields. The wind carried sweat and hay, pungent and sharp, and in every breath was survival's sting. Her father's voice lingered in memory, stern as the wind through the fences. "Life don't give softness, girl. You take what it hands, or it'll take you." Her mother's quiet presence haunted quieter corners, a warmth lost when she was 12. Those ghosts shaped her, tightened her chest, sharpened her hands. The rancher rode in, new hands on old reins, eyes meeting hers for the first time. Respect sparked, tempered by fear. "You handle cattle like you own the place," he said, tipping his hat. She smirked, heart thumping, yet the weight of duty pressed against her ribs. Days bent them all, drought, debt, lawless neighbors. Rules bent, shortcuts taken, lines crossed, every choice a knife edge. Then came the day the shipment vanished. The blame fell squarely on her. Hooves thundering, sweat stinging eyes, she felt every second of the world closing in. "I didn't," she whispered, but no one listened. Moral choices tangled with survival. How far should she bend for family? At what cost does conscience break? The prairie held its breath, dust settled like judgment. Each heartbeat was a question. Could trust survive betrayal? Could love endure when life demanded cruelty? Night smothered the ranch in velvet black. The storm raged outside, wind hammering the cabin walls like skeletal fists. Inside, she huddled by the fire, shivering, mud and sweat crusted on her sleeves. He knelt at the hearth, stoking the flames, jaw tight, every movement a battle with his own guilt. A sudden crash at the door. She froze. "Who?" The words barely left her lips before it swung open. A neighbor, drunk and belligerent, staggered inside, eyes bloodshot, breath reeking of whiskey. "You ruined my stock," he slurred, finger jabbing, voice slicing the warm firelight. The rancher stepped in front of her, hands wide, voice low but fierce. "Back off, now!" The neighbor sneered, gun drawn faster than thought. In a heartbeat, the shot cracked the air. A grazing wound on her shoulder sent blood hot against frostbitten skin. She gasped, stumbling into his arms, taste of metal thick in her mouth. He pulled her into the corner, wrestling both with the threat and the weight of every moral choice. The fire roared, shadows dancing over blood-stained floorboards, mingling with the howl of wind outside. Every heartbeat thumped guilt, fear, and fury. Trust fractured, loyalty questioned, silence screaming louder than the storm. When tragedy strikes, how far can one bend morality before breaking? Should fear dictate action or courage? What would you risk to protect another, your life, your honor, your soul? If this twists your gut, hit subscribe, because out here, mercy is rare, and the next choice could shatter them completely. Dawn cracked brittle light across the snow, each flake glittering like splintered glass. The ranch was silent, except for the hiss of icy wind and the crunch of boots pressed deep into frozen earth. He found her at the gate, hands red from cold, eyes haunted. This was the reckoning, the moment where past and present collided. "You have to tell me," he said, voice low, shaking with anger and something heavier. "Everything. No lies. If this gnaws at you, like if you'd stand your ground, subscribe for more. And tell me, what would you risk for blood, for family, for a chance at forgiveness?" The storm hit without mercy. Snow clawed the sky, turning the ranch into a ghostly white expanse. Silence pressed heavy, broken only by the distant low moan of skeletal branches and the crunch of half-frozen mud beneath her boots. She pushed forward, reaching for the scattered herd, each step a battle against wind that cut through coat and bone. "Stop!" His voice shattered the gusts, raw and sharp. He emerged from the blur of white, eyes burning with frustration and something harder, fear, maybe guilt. "You're risking everything." She turned, breath frosting in the air, chest heaving. "And you think I don't know that?" Her voice trembled, but her gaze didn't waver. "Mercy, is that even in you?" Snow whipped across their faces like needles. The cattle stamped, panic rolling through the herd. She reached for one calf, but it slipped, sliding into the white abyss. A hiss of anger rose in him, a gasp of disbelief in her throat. The loss was immediate, visceral. Water sloshed in boots, teeth chattered, and the sting of sleet bit hard. Each step, each frozen gust, compounded their guilt, tested their fragile trust. Could punishment mend this? Or would it only carve shame deeper into flesh and spirit? Could compassion exist in the same hand that delivers pain? The storm howled around them, a living judgment. Between fury and unspoken care, their bond teetered on the edge. Survival demanded toughness, but survival of the soul? That was another matter. She swallowed, chest tight, and the truth tumbled out, jagged and raw. "It wasn't just today," she whispered, teeth chattering. "Years ago, my negligence. It cost lives. I carried it like a stone, and I never—" Her voice broke, caught in the wind, in the snow, in the shame she wore like a second skin. Horses screamed in panic, gates crashing, the herd stampeding through the white morning. The rifle between them became a struggle, hands clashing over cold metal, nearly tipping disaster. Every heartbeat hammered iron through their veins, every breath a fog of fear and regret. "Could love survive this?" he murmured, breath misting in the frozen air. "Could courage erase years of shame?" Snow sprayed around them, boots skidding, sweat freezing instantly, the cold slicing through adrenaline and confession alike. Each choice felt like chains, each silence a scream. They moved as if underwater, hearts pounding, words colliding with the violence around them. Finally, exhausted, collapsing into the snow, there was no triumph, only fragile understanding. Pain acknowledged, resilience shared, a bond tempered by truth and peril. They looked at each other, shivering, breath clouding between them. The storm outside had passed, but the storm within lingered. What would you do if the one you trusted carried a past like a blade against your heart? Could you forgive, or would the weight crush everything? Evening draped the ranch in silver frost, the storm gone, leaving a quiet that felt almost alive. The land lay battered but standing, snow glinting like scattered diamonds. On the porch, they sat side by side, hands wrapped around mugs of bitter coffee, steam curling into the icy air. Silence stretched, heavy but softer now, like tentative truce. He spoke first, voice low, still rough from mornings of shouting and nights of unspoken guilt. "I won't say it's all forgiven, but we survive. That counts for something." She nodded, breath steaming, eyes fixed on the far fence where lost cattle would never return. "I'll take it," she whispered. "It's all I can take right now." The frost bit their fingers, the warmth of coffee battling the chill, and somewhere in the distance, livestock sighed. A low, living reminder of life continuing despite the scars. Every loss, every misstep, had left marks deeper than the snow could hide. Yet here, connection endured. Not perfect, not easy, but real. Redemption didn't arrive in grand gestures. It arrived in small acts, a hand offered, a nod accepted, a glance that acknowledged pain without judgment. They leaned back, surveying the horizon, hearts heavy, yet steady. Could we all carry the weight of our mistakes, yet still choose hope? Could imperfection ever hold grace? The porch creaked beneath them, wind whispering through skeletal branches. The sun dipped behind frosted peaks, leaving questions lingering. How much can one endure before breaking? What would you forgive in another or in yourself? If this bittersweet ending moves you, like and subscribe, share the story, carry it beyond the screen. And tell me, what would you do if hope came wrapped in frost and regret,